So thank you guys. All right. Happy Aries season. I was not intending to come on this live and talk about Hollywood shenanigans. Just so you know, I mean, of course, I'm going to talk about it here and there because it's Aries season. I did a reel last week, and in the caption, I explained Aries is the sign of conflict and war. It is ruled by what planet? Type it. I know Tiff knows. A lot of you, Lok Yogi, a lot of you guys have had readings and you're studying astrology anyway, even independent from the readings. Like, what sign rules Aries? The planet of war? Exactly, Lok Yogi. Mars. So Mars rules Aries. This is the season where people don't deliberate. They don't think about it. They don't weigh it out. They don't say, oh, should I say that? Should I really address that? Should I approach this person? Should I, confront this issue? People don't deliberate. They don't weigh it out. Aries is where people absolutely are confrontational. They've been holding, Pisces is the last stop on the wheel. It's the last sign of the zodiac. So Pisces is often associated with those higher humanitarian qualities such as forgiveness, empathy, sympathy. So a lot of things dissolve in Pisces season. It's where a lot of things sort of fade off into non-existence because they have run their course or because they just cannot be carried with you into the new cycle because we are in a new cycle. This is the new year. So Aries beginning the zodiac year, not the fiscal year. Capricorn, January, that's the fiscal year. We're talking about the actual zodiacal year. New year, Aries starts the calendar. So again, like I said, this is not the season. This is not that energy where people say, should I slap the shit out of him? Like, he really went too far. People are pushing my buttons, stepping on my toes. They stab me in my back. They cross the line. Should I take action? That's not Mars. That's not Aries. Mars is drive, force, will, determination. Everybody has a Mars in their chart. Everybody's Mars is not in Aries. You probably know where your Mars is. But this is the season where people confront. People are often addressing issues that can possibly lead to conflict. Now, that's what I kind of wanted to talk about. I'm not anti-conflict. I'm not pro-conflict. There's a time and place for everything. There's a time and place where you should address things. There's a time when you should refrain from addressing anything. You just have to know timing. That's what astrology is, right? It's the cosmic weather. If the timing is right, then your actions should correspond with that timing. If not, then you refrain. It's just about you being in tune. Shout out to Al-Kibalon. I think I saw him in here. His whole platform is about getting you in tune with the cosmic frequency so you know exactly how to move, how to be aligned. When you're out of alignment, you're swerving. The energy says go here, you're over there. The divine instruction says speak up and you're being quiet, you're not in tune. The divine instruction says be quiet, now is not the time, and you're talking, you're not in tune. So that's why we do astrology. That's why we get our charts read. That's why we find out what the cosmic weather is, what's happening, how it's affecting our chart, so we know how to move. And right now, this is the season where people are confronting issues. Sometimes irresponsibly, sometimes immaturely, because Aries is the first sign. It is the baby of the zodiac. So it's known for impulsiveness. It's known for just not necessarily calculated. What's the opposite of Aries? Type it in there. I don't know who's in there. Tiff, Al-Kibalon. I saw some names I didn't see. What's the opposite of Aries? 6 months from now, the opposite of where we are now. What zodiac season will we be in? What's the opposite of Aries? Every sign that's 6 seasons away from your sign is the opposite. What's the opposite of Aries? And wait for somebody to type it. Libra. Thank you, King DNA. Libra. 6 months from now, fall equinox. Where are we now? Spring equinox. The opposite, right? So what is Libra represented by? You guys notice. Feel free to type, engage. There are people in this live who've had their charts read. They have the knowledge you have. And there are people who are curious. They want to get their charts read, or they're learning and studying actively on their own. Type, share the information. Libra is represented by the scales, right? So what do we do with scales? We weigh things out. So the opposite of Libra, Aries, where we are now, we're not weighing anything out. People just impulsively, in the moment, spontaneously act. Sometimes, if it's a matter of life and death, we don't need to weigh things out. If you're in the middle of the street and the car is coming, you don't have time to evaluate, check the value of something, put it on the scale. Does this weigh more? You don't have time to do that in a matter of life and death. So there are times when you should use your Mars. There are times when you should be Aries. And if your life is on the line, you don't have to weigh anything out. Move in the moment. Any other time where your life is not threatened or there's not a serious matter at hand, you should evaluate, value, scales, Libra. You should evaluate. You should contemplate. You should deliberate, right? Any other time. But in the moment, impulsive, instantaneous action, Aries, Mars-induced behavior, if you need to do it and if you need to resort to that type of behavior to save your life, by all means. You don't have time to pull out a Libra scale if your life is on the line or if you're saving somebody else's life, right? So it's just a matter of knowing when to do what, right? Knowing timing. That's astrology, timing, the season, right? The Bible verse says it's a season for everything. And you don't want to be out of season. So punching somebody in the face, technically, it's in season. I'm not encouraging that behavior. I'm not telling you to go out and catch a charge, and then you call me and ask me to show up at 2 a.m. and bail you out. And I'm probably not going to wake up and do it. You know what I mean? I'm just kidding. But you don't want to put yourself in situations where you acted irrationally. Remember, rationing is actually weighing things out. You don't want to put yourself in situations where you're not thinking or calculating your response. You're not calculating your actions. And then you have to undo something you did. You have to actually, backtrack, right? And even last night, and I'm not going to go into that situation. I posted something on my page earlier. It is what I believe. I don't post anything I don't believe. I do think women should be defended. I wanted to really, and that's what social media is for. That's why they have a comment section so people can actually share their opinions and thoughts and give comments. So I was curious to see what people would comment. That's why, hey Casey, that's why I shared that post about if he ain't going to smack fire out of somebody to defend your honor, to defend who you are, what you represent, then throw the whole nigga away. I did post that, right? Because in my opinion, now, I'm not encouraging violence, even though Mars, Aries, the season we're in currently, happy birthday, Aries, that is the planet of violence. Aries is the sign of violence, okay? But I'm not encouraging that. But what I was saying was, now, and this goes in alignment with, thank you guys for coming in. Share it with people who talk to you about astrology, and every perspective they share with you is dead ass wrong. Share the live with them. I'm going to talk. I'm going to take some of you guys' questions about how is the Aries going to affect my money, my love, my family, my professional life. I'm going to take you guys' questions. All right. So back to what I was saying. I'm not encouraging violence. I'm just saying, okay, that if you guys engage, intertwine mentally, emotionally, physically, sexually, you link with people, these are people that I'm hoping that, especially, if the relationships are serious and intimate, where you're giving your energy, you're exchanging your vibration, you're taking on someone else's vibration, you're getting karma imprinted on you by people, you're imprinting your karma. If you're in a relationship dynamic with people, I hope they value you enough to defend your honor. I hope they see the value in you and the importance, and they see the essence of who you are, to where they would not let somebody, especially if they play. Now, we're talking about a husband and a wife, okay? Some people I know didn't agree with that post that I shared about somebody should smack fire. The person that you call reflecting you, because that's what a relationship partner does. They reflect you, you reflect them. Okay? I said that I felt like if that person reflects you and you reflect them, that's why you guys are in a partnership, they should defend your honor. Some people didn't agree. Some people, gave commentary about Hollywood. I'm like, you're not even in Hollywood. You don't have enough of the backstory or the information about what goes on in Hollywood, in front of the cameras and behind the curtains for you to give an informed opinion. Who knows, a lot going on in Hollywood, but that's not what I'm spending my time discussing. But my point is that a lot of people, had their opinions, ready to espouse opinions about Hollywood and this, that. That's not what my post was about. My post was simply saying that people who you consider to be partners that reflect your energy, they should want to defend you. They should like you enough to defend your honor, to defend your persona, to defend who you are. Not saying you get in unnecessary altercations. You don't have that kind of time. You don't have that kind of bail money, okay? So with that being said, Will Smith and Chris Rock do have that kind of, Jada, they do have bail money, but you don't, okay? So with that being said, my point was this. I feel like you should be selective enough. Now I'm really going beneath the layers of my post. You should be selective enough with respect to who you say that person reflects me. That's my significant other. That's my boo. That's my bae. I don't know what terms of endearment that you use, but they should be like, hey, wait a minute, chill. That's not cool. You you too comfortable. You crossing the line. The problem is, what some of you had an issue with my perspective as far as defending people that you consider to be relationship partners. The reason why some of you couldn't identify with my position is because you actually rock with people that don't really rock with you, or you really don't rock with them. Y'all just either killing time, filling space. I had a need that needed to be met, whether that was my sexual gratification in the moment, or you just, helping me, distract me from whatever else in my life I don't want to face. You're good for the meantime, between time. Y'all rock with people like that. That's why you don't understand the necessity for somebody to actually be willing and to desire defending you in the face of disrespect. Because y'all just be having like time killers and space fillers that you call boyfriends, girlfriends, bae, boo, whatever, but they not really rocking with you like that, and you not really rocking with them like that. That's why you couldn't identify with what I'm saying. That's why I'm not going to go into this. I'm not going to talk about the Oscars. But I have to kind of say, like, Will laughed. When he saw Jada wasn't laughing, it was a signal to him like, oh, this didn't sit well with her. I am the masculine role in this partnership. My job is to defend. My job is to protect. My job is to support. The woman is to nurture, to care for, right? So maybe sometimes people aren't even clear about the roles. You said it was a problem. It was a problem, right, Casey? Some people are not clear about the roles to begin with. That's why you're not really clear about the nature of the role that these people should be playing in your life that you have so openly, willingly allowed into your life. You know what I mean? So that was my opinion. Now, again, they are bonded in holy matrimony. It's a different situation. Again, you casually dating somebody, y'all just getting to know each other. I'm not telling you that every male in your life as a woman is supposed to just get in street fights, to defend you or what have you. I'm not saying every woman that you casually date because you hopped in her DMs and you was curious about her, but y'all really don't know each other like that she's supposed to wash your socks, bleach your shirts, and cook you meals. Y'all don't know each other. See, everybody's role is what it is, but it's based on the nature of the relationship and how progressed the relationship is. So what I was saying was the idea of a man defending a woman who has been arbitrarily and unjustifiably disrespected. And somebody remind me to elaborate on this whole justifiably thing, this whole justice thing, since we're in Aries season, the opposite of Libra, which is justice, symbolized by the scales. Like you walk in any courtroom in the United States and you see a picture of Lady Justice when you walk in. They make sure you see that. So the opposite of the season of justice is Aries. Right? So things might not be just. They might not be fair, which is scales, balance, because that's the opposite. So we're going to talk about all that. So I'm not necessarily saying that you should enter into confrontation and altercation when it's not just or justified, or it's not rational, or it's not sensible, or it's just downright stupid. But if you call yourself a partner reflecting somebody else, you call yourself deeply invested in some sort of relationship scenario with another person, it should be a no-brainer that they don't allow people in their presence to just think it's okay. You understand? It's one thing to do something. It's another thing to think it's okay to do it, because the boundaries haven't been established, right? Like somebody had posted, oh, if he said that about Denzel White, it would have been Training Day Part 2 up in there, right? Because the boundaries were probably more clearly established. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not talking about actors, Hollywood, none of that. Awards, none of that. But my point, just to really segue all of this into Aries, because it is the season of knocking somebody the fuck out. Like, you got knocked the fuck out. That is the season that we're in, right? Okay. With that being said, we want to talk about whether or not it's justified. Whether or not you have a grounds to stand on. When you throw punches, throw jabs, throw subs, whatever y'all, y'all human beings is doing out here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what these mortals is doing. You know what I'm saying? I have officially deemed myself God body. So I don't know what these humans is doing out here. I don't know, right? But, if you throwing jabs, throwing blows, throwing punches, getting in altercations, getting in fights, it is necessary. For those, let me know in the chat, how many of you have read 33 Strategies of War? The Art of War by Sun Tzu. How many of you have read these war strategy books? Because they don't just apply to actual physical battle or fighting on the battlefield, like as far as military combat, guns, knives. No. Warfare applies to every facet of life in some capacity, right? You read that, Capri? You read it, right? Okay. So with that being said, one of the first things I want to talk about with this Aries season, and please give me your questions. Get your questions ready. Hey, she's born 5 days before me. That's Cancer fan right there. There are times in life when conflict is inevitable, right? There are times in life when the altercation may be inevitable. Hopefully not. And that's one of the things I want to touch on first, right? As far as these crown loads. Altercations, confrontations, especially when the tension is heightened and people can possibly be hurt, that should be your last resort. Even though Aries is the first sign, and this is the season where the energy speaks to jumping and leaping ahead before you think, before you weigh out. Remember, that's Libra. I say, as a person who has Cancer planets that are squared by Aries, I say that the confrontation should be the last resort. The violent confrontation should be the last resort. The last resort. Confronting issues as opposed to avoiding issues. That I fully advocate for. There's nothing wrong with confronting issues. In terms of, like I said, tumultuous conflict, physical altercation, that should be the last resort. The problem that some of you guys have is you don't have good conflict resolution skills. So it's your first resort. It's your first resort to type the wildest comment you can think of that you think is going to push somebody's buttons and make them feel disrespected and get them feeling some kind of way. That's your first resort because you never really mastered conflict resolution, or you're entertained. That's Leo. You're entertained by pushing people's buttons, by violating people. Let me say something about Aries. This is all crown loads. That's my word for downloads. This is all crown loads in the moment. So take away what you will from what I'm saying. When you unjustifiably initiate conflict, when you unjustifiably, meaning you don't have solid ground to stand on, when you violate people, when you cross lines, when you overstep the territory, say something out of pocket, start trouble that didn't have to exist, push people's buttons in a way where now they feel violated and infringed upon. When you don't have solid ground to stand on and you do that, you have already been defeated in the spirit realm. I don't know who needed to hear that. I don't know who needed to know that after years of being an adult and never really studying conflict resolution. I don't care if you're a marksman and you can shoot an apple off of somebody's head and perfectly hit the apple and not accidentally shoot them in the head. I don't care if you are a master at knives, swords. I don't care if you're a master with your hands and you can go to blows and knock a motherfucker out, like Mayweather. And your hands are literally considered a legal weapon. If you are unjustified in the initiation of conflict or confrontation that can result in people being hurt in any way, shape, or form, really physically, mentally, spiritually, you are already defeated in the spirit realm. You have to be justified in terms of, even if you initiate the action, even if you take the first step, you have to be justified in what you're doing. Meaning that somewhere along those lines of whatever was happening in that situation, you were defending yourself. You were defending yourself. You had to reestablish boundaries in a way where you were protecting your well-being. I don't know. But you have to be justified when you show up as Aries. When you show up as Aries and you initiate and set it off, as they say, you have to be justified in your actions and your mindset and your motivation behind those actions, because the universe recognizes intention before it recognizes action. So even with some of you who claim to be do-gooders, and that's what you outwardly express is being done, good action, but your intention is skewed behind it, your motivation is a little flawed, a little off, you can't hoodwink the universe. You can fool other people, but you can't deceive the universe. You cannot hide the truth from the all-seeing eye, the all-knowing, the all-present. So only you have to check in with your heart, which is Leo. You have to check in with your heart and be clear about your intentions when you initiate conflict, when you initiate confrontation and you assert or aggress. You assert yourself, because assertiveness and aggressiveness are not the same. Assertiveness is just being confident in what you present. Aggressive is sometimes crossing lines and violating. They're not the same. They're used interchangeably, but they're not the same. So the one thing that you want to remember during Aries season, hey Kel, I'm sorry guys, I haven't even been scrolling. The one thing that you want to remember during this season is that if you are the aggressor or you are asserting yourself, you have to be justified in your actions. That means in terms of the scales, Libra, the scales of Ma'at, where you're weighing out the intention behind your actions, you're weighing out your actions and the effect that they're having on other people or your outer environment. You have to be justified. And only you and your heart and God, or whatever deity or whatever you subscribe to, the all-knowing, the omnipresent, the universe, only you know the true nature underneath the surface of what your intentions are. So just keep that in mind when you pop up with your Aries energy this season. When you say, I was defending somebody's cause, I was protecting myself, I was tired of being disrespected, I was tired of being violated against my will, I was tired of being put in situations I didn't ask to be put in, I was tired of being stretched beyond the limits of my patience and my endurance. So I did what I had to do. That has to be the mindset. And a lot of y'all don't know that. Based on your chart, based on your Mars, what's afflicting your Mars, what's quincunxing your Mars, squaring your Mars, or whatever's going on in your configuration. You've been in these situations your whole life where you've been stepping on toes and violating. And you feel no way about it because the spiritual lesson and the meaning behind the spiritual lesson hasn't seeped into your pores yet. So what I'm here to do is tell you during Aries season that when you pop off and you talk about my ops, my opponents, opposition, whatever. All right, I don't know why I paused. All right, we back. Which means that you got to always be checking in with yourself. Which also means, this is in real time, CROWNLOADS in real time. Which means that, now I'm bringing a little bit of Libra into it. You're going to have to pull out the scales and weigh out what is important. We're not in Taurus season yet, and I cannot fucking wait for Taurus season. Oh my God. We're not in Taurus season yet. We are one season away from Taurus season, about 20 days from Taurus season. But Taurus is about values. Taurus is about principles. Taurus is about morals, right? We haven't gotten there yet. The first sign is Aries, your identity. Before you get to your morals, your principles, your values, your resources, your possessions, you got to know who you are. So that's where we are right now. Aries identity, right? But with that being said, you got to weigh out what's important. That means every battle is not worth fighting. Right? Every battle is not worth you showing up and engaging in a battle because this is not that fucking important. Some people should be left to punch the air and fight their own internal issues or their imaginary enemies or whatever because you got more important shit to do. So even though we are in the season of confronting people, places, issues, what have you, it may not be worth it. Now that's based on the issues that you already have determined or deemed to be important or irrelevant. Some shit is straight up irrelevant, unimportant, unnecessary, useless. You got these set of goals, you deal with that situation, it's way off from your goals. Now you're giving attention and energy and mental focus to something that is going to play a 0% role of importance in you achieving what you have deemed to be your goals, intentions, aspirations, whatever you want to call it. So even though it's not Taurus season and Taurus is about values, evaluating, Libra, it's not Libra season, weighing something on the scale to determine the value. No, we're not in Taurus season ruled by Venus. We're not in Libra season also ruled by Venus. But you still have to determine what matters and what doesn't. You should have already been thinking about these things for a while for different reasons. But everything is not worth the battle. Not because you wouldn't win. Not because they wouldn't win. But because it's not about win or lose. It's about you conserving your most precious resource, which is your mind space, your heart space, your energy, your currency. That's Taurus again. I know I'm jumping ahead 20 days. Taurus is currency. But everything is not worth it. If you're going to slap the shit out of somebody, yo, make sure you don't apologize later. Why? Because like I said first, you were justified. Justice. Right? Equality, justice. People talk about love a lot. They talk about love in from many different angles and many different capacities. But you can't really have a conversation about love before you talk about justice and equality. Because they're all intertwined. You got to talk about fairness, right? Justice, equality, wisdom, they all play an interchangeable role. You can't talk about love in an isolated manner and your actions and your mindset reflects injustice or imbalance. I know people just want to isolate love and talk about love by itself, but if there's no justice, there's no love, right? You know the 42 laws of Ma'at, my Islamic family. You know the 99 attributes of Allah. You know what they are. You know the definition of mercy, my Christian family. There's no injustice, and then there's love, right? So the first thing is be clear about what you claim you rep to the point where you want to go to blows or you want to go to war with somebody or you want to go toe to toe with somebody. Make sure you are standing on the back of justice and your foundation is solid. And again, same with truth. That's another element that you can't really separate when you talk about love or justice or fairness or equality. You have to talk about all of them. You cannot, how many people in the world have said that they or believed that what they had was love in whatever situation? Could be personal, could be, I don't know, professional, family, doesn't matter. You defined the situation as love, but there was injustice, there was disrespect, there was imbalance. So really, how was the love expressed? How could you really constitute your experience as love without justice, equality, truth, right? So when you use your Aries, justice. The second thing, when you use your Aries, determine that it's worth it. Some things, some people, the majority of people, the majority of worldly events are not worth you throwing a punch. They're not worth you getting into a back and forth. But your values and my values might not be the same. Money you can make again and again different ways. Time you can't get back. Depending on your list of values, where you place money, time, God, family, I don't know your list. But be really, really cognizant of that list and where those values fall and decide what is worth fighting for. Which leads me back to the post that I put up earlier. Someone who you love that says that you say is a reflection of you should be worth fighting for if necessary. But that should be the last resort. I'm going to stop and read some comments because I don't know what you guys think. I just was about to send you a message. I would like to get started with the chart, smart, and get a reading. Awesome. You know what it is? I just found out I have Jupiter in Leo. Okay, you just found that out? Never too late. All right. Let me see. What else did I miss? What else did I miss? They always say who you are to say that's important. Okay. One more, because I don't see too many comments. How are you, Ty Phoenix? I'm doing well. I'm doing quite well. Blessed. Which leads me to my third crown load. I'm not going to do too many. I'm going to stop at 3. And then I'm going to ask you guys your questions about, okay, I can't scroll up that high. The third, now this is about spiritual warfare, which exists before physical warfare, because everything culminates in the spirit realm before it actually takes place on the third dimensional stage. They say the world is a stage. So this is another thing you want to be conscious of. A lot of you guys, Wu-Tang is forever, exactly. A lot of you guys, when you do wage war, and I don't mean literally like pulling out like a katana sword. Sometimes you waging war on people just, with your words, with your sarcasm, with your insults. I see a lot of things. You guys too. I'm not the only one that observes these things. But when you wage war, and when I say you, I don't mean you if it doesn't apply to you. I'm saying you like humans. So it could be just everybody. But when you guys wage war on people, battle, confrontation, conflict, you're not oftentimes taking into consideration that people walk with a certain degree of spiritual protection, even though they are human beings on the physical plane in their bodies having physical experiences. People still have spiritual protection because you're a spirit that's just living out the experience in the physical form, right? And some of y'all wage war on people that are far more spiritually protected than you are. I just got to say it. You're not taking that into consideration, that you're not just waging war or battling this person, this situation. You're waging war on every deity, guardian angel, ancestral deity. You're waging war on every ethereal spiritual entity that walks with that person. So you guys are not thinking broad enough to consider the fact that I'm not waging war against a person. I'm waging war against a spirit that visibly looks like a person, that is living physically as a person. But this is a spirit. You know what I mean? We're all spirits having a human experience. So there's some people, just like there's people that's taller than you, and there's people that's in the gym that have built their muscular body to a greater degree than you have. There's people that have a greater sense of they have a greater spiritual protection than you do. They have otherworldly, metaphysical, whatever you want to call it, presence attached to them, attached to their being. And you have signed up, a lot of you, when you do this bullshit that you do. Like I said, don't take it personal. I'm speaking in a moment. I can't censor myself when a message won't come out in the way it needs to come out. So just receive the message. Don't personalize, what I'm saying and how I'm saying it. But the bullshit that you guys sometimes, that you launch out here in the world on this physical third dimensional plane, you really sign up for a spiritual ass whipping because you haven't taken into consideration the level of spiritual protection and the presence of otherworldly metaphysical entities that walk with certain people. Especially, think about it. Okay, let's go back to the things that I initially spoke of. in the previous crown loads. I said you had to be justified. When you pop off, set it off, whatever, like this rap music sometimes put a battery in a lot of y'all's backs. And you feel like you just want to, go ham on people because, the energy and the music, it got you ready to curse this one out. It got Reggie, and I'm a bad bitch, and I'm this and this and I'm that. And you know what I'm saying? Like, your energy is turned up because of this music, this culture, or whatever. And you feeling amped. Your energy is amplified, but your position is unjustified. Because that's the first thing that we said. Justification is a requirement when you launch war on anyone or anything. I don't even care. I don't care if you're doing some backhanded, slick ass, sarcastic comment. Watch your mouth. Warfare is not just with the fists and with Glocks. Your mouth alone, your mind, which produces the thought, and then you convey it verbally, that's still initiating warfare. If you violate, if you meant to do harm. So justification, right? So a lot of y'all have put yourself on the spiritual battlefield and you not even anywhere equipped to go toe to toe, nose to nose, neck to neck, shoulder to shoulder with some of these people whose buttons you push and who you violate unjustifiably, irresponsibly, immaturely. I would be remiss. I would not be doing my duty as an astrologer who gives you information about your chart so that you can use your chart as a toolbox and know when to move, when to not, when to invest, when to divest, when to get in a relationship, when to not, when to be by yourself. Because the best relationship at some points for some of you is yourself, and you keep missing that lesson. But we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna go there. That relationship is Libra. We're in Aries season. This is the season of the self. Make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it. You can actually win in life by having a dynamic, powerful relationship with self. Some of these things that I'm speaking of, where you pop off on people in a childish manner, or it was unjustified, it should have been left alone, it wasn't that deep, or it wasn't that important for you to even, take it to where you took it. A lot of that shit is because you never sat with self. You never really did the internal work to know why you are impulsive and fly off at the handle and you make big deals out of shit that shouldn't even be addressed, or why you don't have the desire to offend or violate people. You never sit with yourself. You always got distractions. And then you end up having to come back to yourself anyway. Remember, Aries is the sign of self. But I digress. Let me go back to this conversation we're having about spirituality as weaponry and as a protective force around people who are in the physical. Y'all be waging war against people you bringing knives to gunfights on a spiritual plane. Like, you're not really equipped. Only a fool doesn't do a surveillance, an energetic surveillance, or an analysis of his surroundings and the individuals or situations by which you want to have confrontation. Only a fool doesn't weigh out the situation correctly. So you're putting yourselves, I'm giving you guys crown loads. It might be just like live, IG live talk, that doesn't matter, but this time next week, something may go down and you're like, oh shit, I did hear that. So remember, everything that's relevant and necessary in real time, it may not show up in your world until 3 hours from now, 3 weeks from now, but it was said and you were witness to it, which means that you needed to hear it. That's how it works. Even those other readings that y'all get, you know, with these other readers who got crystal balls and cards or whatever, if they're really tapped in and your guides are connecting to their guides and they're being used as a medium to deliver a message to you, that's how it works. That message is going to be relevant at some point in time. If not at that precise moment, at a later moment. So a lot of you guys are putting yourselves in harm's way, setting yourselves up for severe spiritual ass whippings because you just only look at life through a third dimensional lens. So you compromise your own safety on a metaphysical level. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody. You compromise yourself. You sacrifice yourself. That's a really intense word, but I'm going to use it because it came through. You sacrifice yourself because you done put yourself at odds and you wasn't even justified. Or you done, I mean, you can't fool the universe, right? The universe knows whether or not you're justified. The universe knows whether or not you have solid ground to stand on, right? So with that being said, you already got like strikes against you when you are in these situations doing battle that you probably should not even be doing. Engaging in oppositional warfare you shouldn't even, find yourself in, because like we said, it probably didn't demand the issue, didn't demand you to really show up with the level of intensity and to really even address it in a way where it became conflict or violent confrontation or what have you. So in this season, you want to be really careful about Aries, how other people are using their Aries, how you're using your Aries. You in the middle of the street and you were too busy texting or DMing somebody and a car is coming, use your Aries and get the fuck out of the street immediately. Otherwise than that, weigh it out. Does this make sense? Did anything I said make sense? The crown loads, how to use Aries, how not to use Aries, how to not use Aries in a way that you end up getting your ass whipped, whether physically or spiritually. Does any of this resonate? Do you guys know people in your neighborhoods, on the job, just, they all just arbitrarily pop off on people in situations that could have been avoided and it ends up being far worse for them? You guys know people that are using their Aries all wrong. You're going to see it all season. You're going to see people like, what? And for my Cancers, Libras, Capricorns, Aries is the cardinal sign that aspects your sign. If you're a Cancer or a Capricorn, Aries squares your sign. And again, like I said earlier several times, if you're a Libra, Aries opposes your sign. So Aries is a different house for everybody. For Cancers, it's your 10th house, a public profession. So motherfuckers might try to pop off on you in public. Aries is your public house. For Libras, Aries is your partner house. So this is, you might be getting in altercations, disagreements with other people. Conflict may arise with other people. So everybody has the house of Aries in their chart. So this live was about the best way to use Aries and to not use Aries. Remember, even though Mars and Aries imply physicality, even if you're athletic, you probably have prominent Mars in your chart. So Aries and Mars imply physicality. But remember, warfare is spiritual as much as it is physical. So that's something that you want to be conscious of. You don't want to find yourself spiritually discombobulated and out of sorts and totally messed up in the game because you didn't take that into consideration. I'm going to read this. M. Brown says, I'm an Aries sun. With my Aries sun, I've had to teach myself not to pop off. Exactly. And that is a very wise choice with respect to how you can use your Aries, right? You don't want to always be regretting, even though regret, I kind of don't really believe in it fully, but for the sake of making the point that M. Brown made, for underscoring his point, that he said, I had to learn how to use my Aries in a way where I didn't pop off unnecessarily and what? Unjustifiably. Justice, scales, Libra, the opposite of Aries. I had to learn how to use my Aries, M. Brown said. Does anybody have any questions about their chart with respect to this season? I think we're about 8 days into Aries. I'm not even really sure. So we got about 20 some days left. Does anybody have any questions about how to use Aries, how not to use Aries, spiritual warfare, physical and spiritual warfare, your chart, where Aries is in your chart, how you're going to navigate the rest of the season? Does anybody have, any of these 20 people have any questions? You have Mars in Aries? Well, you have Mars in the sign that it rules. You are an initiator. When you have an idea, press on the gas. Go, usually if the climate speaks to that being okay. But for the most part, you started off. You actually set it off. You are the initiator. There's some people, their job is the closer. Their job is the finisher. Mars in Aries, you are the initiator. You bring the beginning elements that eventually evolve into other more expanded ideas and eventually become some grand idea, project, situation, or whatever. But with Mars in Aries, you go. You literally go. Jessica, hi. I'm noticing that I am. You're noticing what, Jessica? Because in my recollection, you're a Gemini. I think you're a Gemini sun, right, Jessica? But I usually remember. You guys, it's amazing how I remember your charts. Like, I don't know, doing so many charts, my memory has become very acute. Like, but okay, Bertha, there's that name. I'm an Aries with a Leo rising. Fire, fire. Aries, fire, Leo, fire. And Cancer moon. Cancer is ruled by the moon. And still trying to understand my natal chart. Well, your Cancer moon squares your Aries sun. So Cancer is water, Aries is fire. What does water do to fire? It brings it to a boil. So you've already experienced many times in your life without ever having met you at Starbucks and hung out with you. I already know this. That your emotions, sometimes, bumping heads with other people, the conflict, keeping your emotions simmered to where they're not really like controlling you and jeopardizing your relationships, but you're conscious of it. That's the first step. Knowing I'm an Aries sun with a Cancer moon. Like, wow, how do you regulate those emotions? How do you know how to compartmentalize? Like, these emotions, they deserve to be addressed right now. Front and center. These emotions, not so much. That square is ongoing for the rest of your life. So, thank you for bringing that up. Energetically over it. She said over it. We got a couple weeks left for Aries season. Already over it. Kel said no planets with Aries for me, but Cancer's North Node, Mars and Libra. Okay, Mars squares your North Node. Mars, Pluto, Saturn, Capricorn. Okay, so you got a lot of cardinal energy in your chart. Capricorn is the business, Cancer is the family, Aries is your identity. Sometimes your identity comes up against family. Sometimes the family dynamics go against the business. It's all clashing, right? They're all squaring each other. And then the Cancer North Node is opposite the Saturn and Pluto and Capricorn. So you got all that cardinal energy there. Cardinal's energy starts the seasons. Aries starts spring. Libra starts the fall. Capricorn starts winter. Cancer starts the summer. We have the solstice, right? Summer solstice, winter solstice. So Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, Libra, cardinal signs start things. We initiate things, right? So the family dynamic, the identity, the relationships with other people, and the business. You got to find a way to balance it out. This season, your Cancer placements, talking to everybody right now, your Cancer placements are going to be activated. They're going to be squared. Your Libra placements are going to be opposed. Your Capricorn placements are going to be squared. So, if you want to know when, how, and what's going to happen on that day, then you know where to find me. I can give you the details. When the sun opposes your Pluto, all you people who have Pluto and Libra born between 1972 and 1984, 85, or whatever, the sun's going to be opposing your Pluto. Find out what's going to happen on the day it opposes your Pluto and what you need to do and how you can work with that energy. Earth Sun, I guess it's not meant for me to get my chart read because every time I ask, I always get ignored. I don't remember getting your, there are countless people right now in this chat that can tell you they were not ignored. They got their charts read, and you too can get your chart read. I promise you, I don't ignore people. If I do, it's totally unintentional. I will definitely remember your name now. Earth _ sun _ water 111. One more question before we go. It's dinner time. One more question before we go. Somebody, if you typed the question earlier, I'm sorry. Can you type it again? Sun opposing your Pluto. Don't be concerned. Sun opposite Pluto is usually like an advancement in some way. It can be. Pluto is involving like other people's money, but it's also status. So, you know, there's many ways this energy can play out, but you just find out. You just find out how you can work with it. Dealey said I'm speaking the facts. Yeah, Virgo rising. I'm definitely going to speak the facts. I'm gonna analyze first before I even speak it. One more question about Aries season. Warfare, justice, equality, peace, love, wisdom, knowledge. Any questions? How does transiting Sun in Aries affect if it's in the 7th house? Lok Yogi. Well, the 7th house is the house of partners, right? And the Sun represents what we love. And Aries is the sign of conflict. So having the Sun in Aries in the 7th house, you probably have had a few conflicts with your partners, right? Maybe some domestic issues. I'm not really sure. The Sun in the 7th house in general. Let's put the Aries aside for a second. The Sun in the 7th house. People who have the Sun in the 7th house have partners where love is usually the requirement. Because just because you have a relationship with somebody doesn't mean that love is the bond, and it doesn't mean that love was the requirement, and it doesn't mean that love is actually holding the relationship together. People have a lot of different dynamics that hold relationships together. Could be attachment, could be sex, could be, I don't know, maybe you like to fight. I mean, Aries in the 7th, and maybe that other person likes to fight, and that's what pulls you together. I'm not really sure. But people who have the Sun in the 7th house, usually love is a bonding agent between them and their partners. And by partners, I mean other people, not just romantic partners, business partners, friends, associates, neighbors. 7th house is other people. It's the person on the other side of you. It's not necessarily just a husband, wife, or, you know, like I said, a romantic interest. But the Sun in the 7th usually implies that those people who come into your life, you guys have a lot of fun together. You got, you know, a lot of fun, recreation, a lot of romance, because the Sun ruling Leo energy, represents fun, recreation, romance, children. It can often mean that you'll have children with those people. Some of those people, of course, depending what's in their chart. But yeah, that's the sun in the 7th. The sun in Aries in the 7th. A lot of passion usually too. Never forget, Aries is a sign of passion, drive, determination, you know. So it's a lot of passion, romance, fun, but it might be a lot of tension. And sometimes tension can be good for sexual pleasure or attraction. I don't know. I'm not your sex therapist. I'm your astrologer. Next question. Nice to see you too. I'm just kidding, y'all. You're welcome. Next question before I go. I just want to see if there was any questions there. Just kidding, guys. Just kidding. I always run to log into your live videos hoping to get the information on how to sign on. DM me. I will answer you. Lok Yogi can attest to this. Jessica 9 Names can attest to this. There's so many people in this live that can tell you I answered the DM, and I promise you I will answer your DM. If somebody initiates conversation in DM, that's a fake reader, astrologer, whatever that's been going on. I think it's dying down. I hope it is. So no, but if you reach out to me, I will reply. And then if somebody's impersonating, ask some questions. You know, a lot of these fake pages, they can't spit astrology off the head like this. You ask them a question about your North Node or whatever. Let's see what they say. You know, if they can't answer it, it's probably not me. You know. All right. Well, it looks like that's that. As a Catholic, I'm not supposed to mess with astrology. Holy Bible, Helios, Biblios, which translates to Book of the Sun. 12 signs of the zodiac, 12 apostles, 1 sign. You can't study astrology. You're already studying astrology. That's my point. That's a whole nother conversation though, right? We know that astrology was deliberately suppressed and twisted and messed up so that you wouldn't study astrology. But anyone who tells you don't look up, like the movie on Netflix, don't look up, don't look at the stars, don't have a relationship with the cosmos, don't study the interdependent relationship between you and the other elements in the cosmos that are all the elements that are within you. The same elements within stars and nebulas and black holes are within you, running through your. Don't study that. No, we're that misleading information. We don't deal with that anymore. That's the veil has been lifted back. We know the truth. So I understand that. I was actually raised as a Catholic as well. I took most of the sacraments. It's too much information. You know, baptized, everything. So sorry guys. I totally get it though. But remember, knowing thyself is the key to you navigating life. So anybody that says, don't learn about yourself, they're not really an advocate for your win. Just know that. So, all right, one word random question. Aries with a Cancer man, is it a happy balance? Because I don't know his chart. You just said he has a Cancer sun. So I don't know his moon. I don't know his Venus. I'm not going to make a synastry analysis off of your sun and his sun, because that's just sun sign astrology, and you can read that in the back of Vogue magazine, and I'm not doing that. But Aries and Cancer square each other. Now I will say this: you probably motivate him a lot when he does not feel strong or empowered enough to make certain moves or take certain steps. That's what Aries does for Cancer. Aries is the professional house for Cancer. It's the house of public profession, what you do. So you probably motivate him, like I said, as far as his abilities, his accomplishments, what he needs to do to change to meet his goals and accomplishments. That's what Aries does for Cancers. And sometimes Cancers don't like it, but ultimately, you know, reaching your goals is not a bad thing. You know, getting to the top of the mountain which is the 10th house. The 10th house is the top of the zodiac, right? That's the top of the mountain. And Aries is the 10th house for Cancer. So even though he might want to lay back and chill and just he wants to be comfortable, where you come in is you bring that fire that says, hey, let's go. Let's get it together. And you may bump heads, you may bump heads. But just off of the sun sign astrology type reading alone, yes, that is what role you play for him, and hopefully that's working to your advantage. Does that resonate? Let me know, Bertha. Thumbs up, yes or no. Just off of the sun and Aries, sun and Cancer between you two. Have you seen evidence of that? That you're a motivating force? You're a motivating force, Bertha? You said, right? Hopefully. So have a great Aries season. We have a new moon in Aries on April 1st, which is April Fool's Day. New moon in Aries. Remember, new moon in Aries is I do what I want. I do me. But Chiron is involved in that new moon. Chiron is the wounded healer. You guys know from getting your readings, Chiron is the emotional and spiritual wounds that you've endured that don't always stay wounds, because sometimes you heal and you keep it moving, right? Every scar doesn't remain a scar. Sometimes fresh skin comes about and, we're healed. So, but this new moon will involve Chiron. And yeah, we'll talk about that baby if I feel like it. I got music to post. Guys, I get the astrology out of the way so that I can just share other things with you. So hopefully, I like that. The praying hands emoji. All right, guys. Wu-Tang is forever. Shouts to the royal priesthood. More on that later. Killer priest. Wu-Tang is forever, guys. And so is your chart. So is your chart. So with that being said, you loving the music. Thank you. Thank you. This year we showcased everything. We showcased the beats. We're doing everything, we need to do. This is life. Sun is in my 10th house, right? It's a Cancer, right? Right? The house of public profession. So I love you guys. And I mean that literally, like justice, equality, and truth. Love. That type of love. I'm getting annoyed by the notifications. Sorry. And it's not even DMs. It's what's Telegram. I need to put it on mute. Sorry, guys. Thank you. I hope this information helped you. I hope it gave you insight on how you want to move going forward. And yeah. Life is chess, not checkers. If you move impulsively, use your Aries irresponsibly, immaturely, probably won't work out well for you. So chess is the right move, not just any move, and not how many times you move. It's the precise move that actually makes the most sense. So enjoy the rest of Aries season. Taurus season is coming up. Oh my God. Because Taurus season is eclipse season, guys. Wow. Your braids? You like the braids? Okay. I'm about to take them out though, guys. I'm about to take them out. Yeah. I'm about to take them out. I had to do them for a specific reason and it's done. It was done. So now I can take them out. Yeah, I can't. It is what it is. Yeah, you see that? You see that? That's wisdom. That's wisdom right there. I'm not dying the roots. I'll die the ends, guys, but I'm not dying the roots. It is what it is. And it has nothing to do with age because my mother was prematurely gray at 28 and I had grays at 28. So it's just genetics. All right, guys. Have a great Aries season. Don't knock anybody out unless you really got a good fucking reason. And if you get knocked out, don't call me or if you knock somebody out, don't call me to post bail. And if you get knocked out, I'll come visit you in the hospital, but only in the evening hours, okay? I'm just kidding. All right. Hey, Roz. You missed it. We talked about Aries and Mars and how to use it right. and not wrong. Love you guys. I'm out of here. Bye.